Scattered Seed by Francine Thomas Howard, performed by Kimberly Woods. That's got to be it. The body of the virtuous woman. Folashade clamped a hand over her mouth as the thought whispered out of her throat. She looked back at the black lettering scrolling down the length of the red leather spine of the book. Yes, no mistake. Those were the words written right there in Arabic. She'd almost missed the thin volume squeezed between the two bigger and thicker books, one called The Female Succession and Property, and the other, The Property Rights of the Concubine, especially since all three had been stacked on a low shelf in the back corner of Papa's library. The perspiration that had threatened her this past quarter hour finally won out. The beat of her heart moved the fabric of her underdress. She swiped a hand across her forehead, but not because of the heat in this men's wing of Papa's house. Her father had ordered the workmen to double and triple the thickness of the mud walls because, he explained to all three of his daughters, his study housed some of the more important manuscripts in all of Timbuktu. The room had to be kept as cool as possible. Folashade glanced over at the heavy acacia wood table, with its carved legs crisscrossing into arabesque shapes that had been pushed flush against the shelves. Rows of books rose up the ceiling of all four walls, almost as though the works were reserved only for those who cared to make the extra effort. But that was silly. Wouldn't all of her father's students be interested in this aspect of Quranic law? She remembered one of Papa's lessons just last month on how to date the age of a book. Look for cracks and peelings in the leather or the bindings. Check for cover warping. But all she could see on this volume was the spine. The body of the virtuous woman could be 200-300 years old. Maybe even written during the reign of the great Songhai in the 900s. But she'd also have to remember, as Papa had taught her, a number of volumes in the masjid library came from the north, a place where the people did not use the Hijri, the calendar of the Holy Prophet. Those dates would be different, something about Gregorian. This year, her year, 1118 AH would be 1706 to them, the foreigners. Her birth year, 14 years ago, she'd really have to ask Papa for another lesson. That was, if she didn't get caught this morning. She should move back to the other side of the little library and onto the mat where Papa had left her. There, the light for reading was best, and the air cooler and less dusty for breathing. But she couldn't get her mind and her body to agree. A quick wave of panic enveloped Folashade. She'd better decide, and in a hurry. Take the book or not? Father had always been generous with his children's education, even though the three of them were girls. And he was more lenient than the fathers of other females of the nobility. All noblewomen were expected to master the written and spoken word in multiple languages. Behind the scenes, wives often acted as their husbands' secret negotiators with foreign visitors. But Papa made sure his daughters also understood mathematics, astronomy, history, and philosophy. Since they were very young, Papa had permitted his girls access to the back room of his office, even though females were not allowed to attend the University of Sankore.